Ready for the video?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Interesting question. What do you think?
Now,
Very
see, the problem is, today you move in…
What sound does the cow make?
that a cow is
Isn't that
capable
crazy?
of. I have personally…
Actually, I 75 babies together. It was quite intense, and they're all allowed to come inside, and like
Wow, big number.
you can feed.
In
a
normal
lot of
agricultural
animals
soil, the
with
minimum
one
organic
to
content
a
that
cow.
has to be
Yes.
there to cause…
Brought all my pets inside. I don't think they should be outside. It's too cold. It's for slaughter. It's not like your cows in the backyard. Like, oh, we don't feed those. We're trying to solve world hunger. No.
Present practice. What's conscious? This is Vish and
Ellie,
today we'll be responding to Sadhguru's video on…
do cows have emotion?
My name is Vish and I'm an aspiring yogi. I've been meditating for over 4 years now. Love all things meditation, wisdom, and yoga based. And today I'm grateful to have Ellie on the show. Want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Ellie Urban. You can find me on Instagram at Ellie Rain with 2 E's, down below.
Down below. And tell them where you're from.
I'm from Battleground, Washington.
So Ellie, before we start, have you heard of Sadhguru before?
Yes,
What do you know about him?
he's awesome.
Part 2. So before we start, would love to hear what you all think about cows. Do you think cows have emotions? Comment down below. And Ellie, what are your quick thoughts on cows? Do you think they have emotions?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Did you grow up with cows?
Hell yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into the video. We'd love to hear what Sadhguru has to say about this, and then definitely hear about your experiences with cows and what you think. And as always, we'd love to hear what you think about what I'm saying, what Ellie's saying, or what Sadhguru is saying. Again, don't hesitate, comment down below. And with that,
Let's get into the video.
They lived in our homes along with us. So there was an intimate relationship. This cow just came and stood in front of the house for about 6 days. Never ate anything, drank anything, and died right there after 6 days.
interesting question. What do you think?
Now,
Very
see, the problem is, today you move into an apartment which is on your 10th floor and you're far removed from the earth and you have no sense of how things work on the land. We come from a pastoral culture where our wealth was always measured in terms of how many herds of cattle do you have. You just look back at the time of Mahabharata and other thing, they're always talking about herds of cattle. How many cattle did you have? This is the wealth. Why this was so is because we are a tropical country and we depend on monsoons. When the rains fail, those who had cows, their children survived. Those who do not have cows, their children died. This is a simple wisdom that we came to. So, an animal which gave us milk, which saved our children's lives, we treated it as sacred to our lives. Not only that, cows did not live in a separate cattle farm somewhere, they lived in our homes along with us. So there was an intimate relationship. So intimate, I must tell you this. One of my grand aunts who had a cow, all cows had names at one time, okay? This cow was called Lakshmi, very dear to her. At the age of 84 or 85, my grand aunt passed away. This cow just came and stood in front of the house for about 6 days. Never ate anything, drank anything and died right there after 6 days. So that's the level of emotion that a cow is capable
crazy?
of. I have personally seen, when I was growing up, my grandmother always showing a particular cow and keep telling me that you are drinking the milk of this cow, this is your second mother. They were actually openly telling me, suppose your mother dies. I'm just a 2-year-old kid. These are days you were never supposed to utter the word death, but those days, because mothers could die. So my grandmother tell me, suppose your mother dies, this is your mother. She is the one who is nourishing you. Every day I'm told this. So every day I'm supposed to go and at least touch her and play with her for a few minutes a day. This was a part of our growing up. So naturally there was a huge emotion towards the animal, and I have personally seen that if you develop a certain intimacy with a cow…
So Ellie, so far, this seems definitely quite interesting, I would say profound. What are your thoughts and what's going through your mind as you're watching this?
I agree because I have cows of my own.
And you can relate with what he's saying?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, without further ado, let's get…
Actually, I relate in a deeper level also because like I remember a bunch of like my friends back at home would like leave their dogs outside and their cats like wouldn't be allowed to come into the house, and then my mom was like, go get Quinn, which was my bunny. She was a half love, half satin. We also had Frolic and they had 75 babies together. It was quite intense and they were all allowed to come inside, and like when I raised baby chickens they were allowed to come inside, and so I just always have brought in all my pets inside. I don't think they should be outside. It's too cold. It's too cold in Washington.
Well, thank you so much, Ellie, for sharing that. I mean, it seems like you really have a deep connection with animals.
Yeah.
So let's get back into it and let's talk more about it afterwards.
Let's get back into it.
Suppose you are going through some grief and some turmoil within yourself, you need not be in the presence of the cow, you are somewhere else. The cow will shed tears for you. So because it has human emotions, we said killing a cow amounts to murder. Eating a cow amounts to cannibalism. This is how it was seen in the past. Well, we can't go back to that time anymore. We will go into the deepest oceans, and at the bottom of the ocean, what is there, we'll pick it up and eat it up. We have learned how to exploit everything on the planet, but in an agricultural nation, I want you to understand this. If you don't know this, sir, already, let me tell you this. 25% of India is turning into a desert in the next 10 to 15 years' time. How desertification happens means it's just this.
Wow, big number.
You can feed
In normal agricultural soil, the minimum organic content that has to be there to call soil soil is 3 to 6%. 3% is the most minimum.
But today, in many states like Punjab, Haryana, Marathwada, some parts of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, the organic content has gone down to 0.05%. That means in the next 3 to 5 years, this will become sand. If you remove the organic content from the soil, soil will become sand. If your soil becomes sand, then we say your nation is a desert, isn't it? How is this going away? I don't know, young educated people should be thinking about these things, for unfortunately we not doing this. See, you take 1 acre of land. If you take 1 acre of land, if you grow, let us say, 2 tons of some crop, what you have removed is 2 tons of topsoil. So if you want to put back organic content into the soil, there are only 2 ways: leaves from the trees and animal waste. Trees are already gone long time ago, animals you want to eat it up. How will you preserve the soil? If our soil turns into a desert, how are people going to live? With 1.3 billion population, very concentrated population. If you do not put the leaves of the tree and the animal waste back into the land, you will finish the nation. A nation which has a 12-month cropping system and which has agricultural history of 8 to 10,000 years, longest agricultural history on the planet. Now if you take away the soil and turn it into sand, is it a great thing? You have to somehow preserve it. At some point at some point in near future, we have to come to this. If you have 10 acres of land, you must have this many trees and this many animals. This will become mandatory. If it doesn't become mandatory, there will be no soil left in the nation.
So Ellie, this was, I would say, also a very insightful video, and I didn't know that cows had such a, human emotion to it. Did you know that?
Not necessarily like human emotion, but I feel like some people neglect the fact that animals do have emotion, and I've seen it firsthand. I've raised baby chickens, baby bunnies, puppies.
What's your favorite animal out of all those? You get to pick. You can't? Okay.
I can't.
Have you raised any cows?
Yes. So there was one, I actually have a picture if you want to insert that right there. That, he was a bull, and the mom was like, yeet, I don't want this one, because she always had twins. And so she would, throw the bull into the air, and so I had to, run out there with my aunt and go and grab it. And then she was, bottle feeding it, and it was a big mess, and it was in the garage. I don't know, it was and yeah, and then they eat their cows. So
who eats the cows?
my aunt.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. What are your thoughts? I'm curious because it seems like you had a pretty close connection with animals growing up. What are your thoughts on the eating of animals, or the consumption of meat?
I don't like it.
Why is that?
Because when I was 8 years old, I saw a cow slaughtered in front of me. And ever since then, I can never forget the pacing back and forth of the mom. And she was just hollering and hollering and hollering.
Oh, this happened in front of the mom?
They usually would take them away and put them in a separate field, But when your baby calf's not there, you're like, where's my child, basically? And
so they kind of get some sense about what's happening.
yeah, of course. That's why we have therapy dogs. That's why we have therapy cats and therapy birds, is because even my mom, she's an ICU nurse, and the dog will start nudging the patient. My mom's they're gonna have a seizure, so they can tell before my mom can.
That is, wow, that is just incredible.
And they can smell if you're blood, what's the thing, diabetic? There's diabetic alert. So I'm of course they have emotion. They wouldn't be just working for free.
Right. No, those are great points. I appreciate you bringing that up, Ellie, because I guess it's really cool to see the natural intelligence that animals have, those early detection type of sensing abilities. I even heard, I forget the exact place, and I might be kind of maybe sort of not giving the exact accurate description, but I did hear that it was this huge tsunami, in Indonesia area, way back 2008 or something, even Sri Lanka and I think parts of India as well. And what they found was that actually no animals were harmed during that disaster, which I forget which part we were talking about, but humans were affected, obviously. And the whole idea is that animals are more in tune with that natural intelligence, and that they can sense, things happening before we do. And so it's really cool, and I think it's important to a certain extent to just be aware of that, right? Whether you end up killing the animal and consuming it or not, I think that's maybe a whole nother debate, but at least having the awareness about what happens to the animals. And I think there's a huge disconnection with the meat that's on your plate and what happens to that animal, right? And how it gets to your plate. What do you think?
I totally agree.
It's just awareness right at the end. And then I think the other stuff can definitely be talked about afterwards. And I think also, just to wrap this up, I think the key point Sadhguru was mentioning here was the environmental impacts, right? With the killing of animals. I think that's at least what I understood out of him. Is that what he was saying too, you think?
Yes. And the amount of like water and stuff that goes into feeding cows is like specifically for slaughtering them is we could be giving that water and food to people.
Right, exactly. And so it's definitely not that we shouldn't give it to them, but like the whole purpose of giving it to them to kill them is
mass produced.
yeah, so it's artificial.
Yeah, they're mass produced for slaughter. It's not like your cows in the backyard like, oh, we don't feed those, we're trying to solve world hunger. No.
Right.
Like, I mean, like, there's like hundreds and hundreds of cows like knee deep in mud, like being just poured in grain and like water, and it's just like
Wow. That is, again, really, really deep to hear, and I appreciate you sharing that, Ellie. And I would love to hear what you all think about what we've talked about and just our discussion, maybe even what Sadhguru has to say. Do you think cows have emotion after we've talked about this for so long? And yeah, I would love to hear what your perspective is in the comments down below. And don't forget to check out Ellie. Again, where can they find you?
on Instagram at Ellie Rain with 2 E's.
Yeah, her stuff will also be down below. And if you have any other video reaction requests or just want other personality types on the show, you can also comment down below. With that, make a great day, take it joyfully, and stay conscious. Awesome job, Ellie. You did great.
Thank you. You did too.